Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Smackdown review. Smackdown tonight was from the Nutter Center in Dayton, Ohio, and this was Smackdown's go-home show for Backlash, which is tomorrow night. And Smackdown tonight, I thought it was just a mediocre show, in my opinion, and the show did nothing to hype us up for Backlash tomorrow. SmackDown, to me, is pretty much the worst WWE show of the week. Monday Night Raw and NXT are so much better than SmackDown. Because SmackDown is 3 hours long, it feels long, and I cannot wait until this show goes back to 2 hours, which is rumored to be happening next month in June. There is no official confirmation date of when we will finally get SmackDown going back to 2 hours, but I cannot wait. These 3 hours are draining every Friday. But tonight, we had LA Knight and Damian Priest versus Sikoa and Fatu. And of course, Knight and Damian Priest, WWE, doing the whole, can they coexist? Because, of course, tomorrow night, it's going to be Knight, Damian Priest, Fatu, and Drew McIntyre in a Fatal 4-Way for the United States Championship. So, of course, like I said, WWE had to do a can they coexist between Knight and Damian Priest teaming together. We had Zelina Vega and a mystery partner of hers, which turned out to be Alexa Bliss. So Alexa Bliss ended up returning tonight, and she teamed up with Zelina Vega to take on Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. We had Nia Jax versus Jade Cargill. The winner will be the number one contender to face Tiffany Stratton for the Women's Championship. We had Fraxiom, Nathan Frazier, and Axiom. They ended up taking on the Street Profits, Montez Ford, and Angelo Dawkins. This is a shot for Fraxiom if they want a shot at the tag team titles. And we had Aleister Black. He was in action, and he had taken on Carmelo Hayes. And we also had John Cena in action tonight in the closing segment of the show, which of course is going to be taking on Randy Orton tomorrow night for the WWE Championship. But overall, SmackDown tonight, very mediocre show it was. And like I said, as a go-home show, it did nothing to hype us up for the show tomorrow night. And on the Backlash card, we only have 5 matches in total. But anyway, let's jump right into the review. SmackDown opened up tonight with the first match of the night. Damian Priest and LA Knight versus Fatu and Sikoa. And before the match got underway, we saw Damian Priest walking backstage. He got stopped by Byron Saxton for an interview. Byron Saxton ended up asking Priest about the match tomorrow night, the Fatal 4-Way for the United States Championship. So Priest started to speak, and LA Knight came in. Knight and Priest ended up talking about the match tonight, the tag team match. Knight ended up telling Damian Priest that if he has his back, he will have his. So pretty much that was that. Knight walked out. He made his way to the ring. And then Damian Priest came out. And this led to Fatu and Sikoa both coming out. And of course, WWE ended up pulling the can they coexist card between Priest and Knight, considering that they are both fighting for the United States Championship along with Fatu and Drew McIntyre tomorrow night. So they had to do that. But this was a decent tag team match here. So the match got underway. We had Knight and Damian Priest. They both were arguing with each other to determine who will start off the match. So then Sikoa attacked Damian Priest. Knight got on the ring apron. Sikoa delivered some right hands to Priest, but Priest delivered some kicks to Sikoa, which was followed by a forearm to Sikoa's face. Priest ended up grabbing Sikoa by his hand, and he began walking the top rope, just like The Undertaker. And he led a crossbody to Sikoa. So Priest ended up going for a clothesline to Sikoa, but Sikoa ended up rolling to the outside of the ring. Priest went to the outside, and he jumped off the steel steps, to which he landed a double axe onto Sikoa. Jacob Fatu dropped from the ring apron, and he got into Priest's face. And this led to Knight delivering a baseball slide onto Jacob Fatu. So then, as SmackDown came back from the commercial, Sikoa knocked Knight off the ring apron, and Priest ended up knocking Sikoa down. Priest ended up going for the tag to Knight, but Knight was down on the outside. Sikoa then grabbed Priest and delivered the Samoan drop to Priest. Solo tagged in Jacob Fatu, and Fatu ended up landing a senton onto Priest. So Priest was shown down in the corner. Fatu ended up landing the running hip attack to Priest. So Sikoa ended up taking back in. He ended up going for the running hip attack, but Priest delivered a spinning heel kick to Sikoa. Knight was then tagged in, as was Jacob Fatu. So Knight and Fatu end up going at it at this point in the match. Knight delivered some right hands, and he followed up with a Russian leg sweep to Fatu. So Knight ended up delivering a jumping neck breaker onto Fatu, and then Knight followed up with a body slam. Knight ended up going to the ropes, and he landed a jumping elbow onto Fatu. Fatu then got back up. Knight slammed Fatu onto the canvas. Knight then climbed the second rope. He ended up going for the jump up leaping elbow drop to Fatu, but Priest ended up tagging himself in. So unfortunately, Knight didn't get that jump up leaping elbow drop, thanks to Priest tagging himself in. So Knight looked at Priest. He was shocked. Priest then delivered a clothesline onto Jacob Fatu. Priest then ended up going for a choke slam, but Knight tagged himself in. Sikoa then tagged in. He pushed Knight into Priest. Sikoa ended up going for the Samoan spike to Knight, but Knight ducked, and Knight landed the blunt force trauma, the BFT, onto Sikoa. He ended up going for the cover, and there you go. LA Knight and Damian Priest ended up winning the match. And of course, this all led to Knight and Priest delivering some right hands to each other. So Jacob Fatu ended up attacking both Knight and Priest. He ended up hitting both of them with the running hip attack. Fatu then raised the United States Championship, and in came Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre laid out Fatu with the Claymore. McIntyre then ended up throwing the United States Championship onto Fatu, and he left the ring. And pretty much that was basically that. But overall, decent tag team match it was. And of course, in the end, we all knew where this was going to go, with Knight and Priest delivering right hands to each other. And then you have Fatu in there, attacking both Knight and Priest, and then Drew McIntyre coming in. All to set up the match for tomorrow night. And then we had R-Truth. R-Truth was holding a Let's Go Cena sign. And in came Jimmy Uso. Jimmy ended up asking R-Truth, "What are you doing?" And R-Truth was like, "Oh, John Cena is in the building tonight. We're going to say, let's go Cena." So, pretty much, Jimmy looked all disappointed because he's like, well, John Cena sucks. So, pretty much that was that. Very funny from R-Truth there. he still loves Cena, even though that he's a heel. He's having a "Let's Go Cena" sign. So even though Cena turned heel, R-Truth is still a fan of his and is still his childhood hero. Cena is still R-Truth's childhood hero. And as SmackDown came back from the commercial, Byron Saxton interviewed Drew McIntyre. McIntyre ended up saying that what he did to Jacob Fatu was a message to him, and he will shoot a silver bullet onto the werewolf. McIntyre ended up asking why Priest is even in the match tomorrow night. McIntyre ended up saying that he beat Priest at WrestleMania, but Priest ends up getting rewarded. He keeps getting rewarded. So McIntyre ended up saying that it is bullshit, but Fatu is the baddest yard in the dog, and that is why he went after him. McIntyre ended up saying that once he wins, he will be a Grand Slam champion. He also went on to say that the problem with all gas and no brakes, it works until you hit a brick wall. And that brick wall is the new United States champion in Drew McIntyre. Pretty good interview from Drew McIntyre there. So if McIntyre wins tomorrow, he will be a Grand Slam champion. And then we saw Chelsea Green and the Secret Service. They were in Nick Aldis' office. They had the lights off. They had, candles there. They were mourning still the loss of Chelsea losing the Women's United States Championship. So Nick Aldis and Zelina Vega end up coming in. Nick Aldis was like to Chelsea, "Oh, what are you doing in here?" And, Chelsea was like, "Oh, well, this is a mourning for the woman." Chelsea then ended up telling Zelina, "Oh, you have no girlfriends." So Zelina was like, "Well, I challenge you to a tag team match tonight." And of course, Zelina Vega, had no partner as of yet. So she ended up making the challenge to Chelsea and Piper Niven for a tag team match. So, but really, I'm liking the Chelsea Green and Secret Service, with Alba Fyre and Piper Niven, them mourning still the loss of Chelsea losing the Women's United States Championship. I mean, Chelsea is just so entertaining in her gimmick. Chelsea is probably like the best part of SmackDown. With her and Piper Niven and Alba Fyre. And as SmackDown came back from the commercial, we saw Aleister Black. Aleister Black ended up cutting a promo. He ended up saying that he found the truth. And the truth is that he came back because he believes that he has the consequences that the company needs. He wants to say that he is more than a man who whispers in shadows. It's so much bigger than good against evil. He wants to say that he is here to confront you, physically and mentally. He ended up saying, as for Carmelo Hayes, he ended up saying, I haven't figured you out yet. Or have I? So that was pretty much basically what Aleister Black had to say. Pretty good promo from Aleister Black here. At least he wasn't in a closet somewhere like how, his character was cutting promos back in 2019. And then we had Zelina Vega and her mystery tag team partner was a returning Alexa Bliss. So Zelina Vega and Alexa Bliss took on Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. And it was good to see Alexa Bliss again. Of course, she came out, with Lily the doll still. There were rumors saying that, Alexa Bliss, could be the new leader of the Wyatt Six, where we don't even know where the Wyatt Six are. They haven't been featured on TV in, months. But this was a okay match here. And you could tell in this match that Alexa Bliss has gotten better in the ring. Gotten so much better. Match got underway. Zelina Vega and Piper Niven started off the match. Zelina Vega went for a crossbody, but she ended up getting caught by Piper Niven. And Piper Niven ended up slamming Zelina Vega down to the canvas. Chelsea was then tagged in. She ended up going for a splash to Zelina Vega, but Vega moved out of the way. Vega ended up tripping Chelsea up, and Chelsea was leaning on the second rope. Piper Niven came in. Zelina Vega ended up tripping Piper up next to Chelsea, which that led to Zelina Vega going to the ropes, and she landed a double 619. So Vega ended up going for the cover, and Chelsea kicked out. Vega ended up going for the tag to Alexa Bliss, but Chelsea ended up tripping her up. So Piper Niven was then tagged in. Piper Niven then landed an elbow onto Zelina Vega. So as SmackDown came back from the commercial, Piper Niven ended up picking Zelina Vega up. Zelina Vega ended up landing a DDT to Piper. Chelsea was then tagged in, and we had Zelina finally tag in Alexa Bliss, so Chelsea and Alexa Bliss end up going at it. Bliss delivered some right hands to Chelsea, which was followed by a head scissor takedown. Bliss then delivered a blockbuster to Chelsea. She went for the cover, and Chelsea ended up kicking out. So Bliss then ended up grabbing Chelsea. She threw her into the corner. Chelsea came back and delivered a back elbow to Bliss. Chelsea then climbed the top rope. She got tripped up by Alexa Bliss, and Bliss ended up getting Chelsea in the Tree of Woe. Bliss then delivered a drop kick to Chelsea. She climbed up the top rope and landed the Twisted Bliss. She ended up going for the cover on Chelsea. Piper Niven came in and broke up the pin. Zelina Vega ended up going for the Code Red to Piper Niven, but Piper blocked it. Bliss then delivered a kick, and Zelina Vega ended up hitting the Code Red on Piper Niven. Piper Niven went to the outside of the ring. Vega then delivered the Meteora to Piper Niven. Chelsea ended up grabbing Alexa Bliss, and she ended up going for the Unpretty Her, but that got reversed by Alexa Bliss. Bliss reversed the Unpretty Her into the Sister Abigail. Bliss ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Zelina Vega and Alexa Bliss ended up winning the match. Overall, match was okay, and really I'm looking forward to where, Alexa Bliss ends up going after she returned tonight to television. But hopefully this leads up to the Wide 6 coming back on TV, because Alexa Bliss is going to be slotted into the Wide 6. And then we saw Rey Fenix. Rey Fenix was walking backstage, and he got stopped by Santos Escobar. Fenix ended up telling Santos that he beat him last week, and that it's over, and that there's no conversation. Escobar ended up telling Fenix that he knows that, and that he has one thing to tell Fenix. Escobar leaned in, and he ended up asking Fenix, who said anything about a conversation? So in came Berto and Angel, and both Berto and Angel ended up attacking Fenix. Officials and Andrade ended up coming to break things up between them, and pretty much that was basically that. And then we had Charlotte Flair. Oh God, here we go. Here we go with the awfulness of this segment. So Charlotte ended up coming out to the ring. God, that awful theme music that she has. So the fans end up booing Charlotte. She got on the mic. She ended up telling the fans there in Dayton that their queen has arrived. She ended up saying that she is coming off the greatest women's match in WrestleMania history against Tiffany Stratton. Really? The greatest women's match in WrestleMania history? That wasn't even the greatest women's match in the history of WrestleMania. Charlotte Flair is some comedian there, right? She made everybody laugh. She even made me laugh. Greatest women's match in the history of WrestleMania. Give me a break. Hey, it was a good match. Don't get me wrong, it was a good match. But to call it the greatest women's match in WrestleMania history? Give me a break. She ended up saying that she needs to give credit where credit is due. She wanted to say that she was out for almost 2 years with a career-ending knee injury, and she took our champion to her limit. So then we saw a picture of Tiffany Stratton beat up during the match at WrestleMania. And Charlotte ended up saying that she enjoyed her WrestleMania moment in Tiffany Stratton. And Charlotte ended up saying that she is announcing her path back to the Women's Championship. Oh, God. So the fans end up booing Charlotte. She kept asking why they are disrespectful to her. Well, you know, the reason why they're disrespectful to you is because you always politic your way to want another shot at the Women's Championship and being in the title picture. So Charlotte ended up telling the fans that she is the GOAT of women's wrestling, the greatest of all time. Man, Charlotte's making everybody laugh tonight. Some comedian she is. So Charlotte ended up saying that if they continue, she will leave and never come back to Dayton because the fans were still booing her. So when she ended up saying that she will leave and never come back, the fans cheered. And she ended up saying that she's giving them one more chance. So they continued to boo Charlotte. Charlotte slammed the mic onto the canvas and left the ring. I'm like, thank you, Dayton. Thank you for having Charlotte get out of the ring quick. So as Charlotte began walking, the lights end up going out. And Jade Cargill came out. Jade Cargill walked and she stopped next to Charlotte. Both Jade and Charlotte looked at each other. Charlotte walked to the back. Jade got into the ring. Jade got on the mic. She ended up telling Charlotte to wait. She ended up saying to Charlotte that she had her chance. Now, head to the back of the line. So, that was pretty much that. So even Jade telling Charlotte, go to the back of the line. Because nobody wants to see Charlotte get another opportunity at the Women's Championship. They don't. We don't want to see it. But awful fucking segment. Waste of time. So then, as SmackDown came back from the commercial, Charlotte and Nick Aldis were arguing. Charlotte ended up telling Nick Aldis that she helped make the division. And Nick Aldis ended up telling Charlotte that she can't throw a temper tantrum when things don't go her way. So Charlotte ended up saying that she has no time for this. She ended up approaching her car. She ended up telling the driver to take her to the airport. So the door ended up slamming. And it was Alexa Bliss. And Alexa ended up telling Charlotte to have a chat. And that was basically that. And then we had Nia Jax versus Jade Cargill. No one contenders match for the Women's Championship. Of course, the winner of the match will get to face Tiffany Stratton for the Women's Championship. And Tiffany Stratton was out there watching the match. And this was just a decent match here. Nia Jax, you could tell in this match that when Nia Jax wants to have a good match, she will have a good match when she wants to. So the match got underway here. Nia Jax ended up delivering a shoulder tackle onto Cargill. Nia delivered a splash in the corner to Cargill, but Cargill came back and delivered some forearms and a shoulder tackle, which took Nia Jax down. Jade then grabbed Nia. Nia then ended up lifting Jade up, and she delivered the small drop to Jade. Nia then went for the leg drop to Jade. She ended up going for the cover, and Jade ended up kicking out. So then, as SmackDown came back from the commercial, Jade delivered the Samoan drop to Nia. We had Jade end up getting to her feet, and she landed a suplex to Nia. Jade then delivered a super kick and a spine buster to Nia. She ended up going for the cover, and Nia ended up kicking out. You had Naomi later on. She came out there and she threw Tiffany Stratton into the ring steps. And that distracted Jade, to which Nia took advantage of that distraction and she delivered a headbutt to Jade. Nia then followed up with a senton. She then went to the top and she delivered the Annihilator onto Jade. So there you go. Nia Jax ended up winning the match. And now we're going backwards. We're getting Nia Jax versus Tiffany Stratton again for the Women's Championship. Who wants to see that match again? I know I don't. And I know a lot of you don't want to see it either. Why are we circling back to Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton for the Women's Championship? Why? Oh, awful. Absolutely awful. So then we saw the Street Profits. They got stopped by Michin and B-Fab. Michin and B-Fab end up congratulating the Street Profits. Montez Ford ended up telling Michin and B-Fab that her or not, they will put everyone on notice. So there you go. That's what the Profits had to say. And then, as SmackDown came back from the commercial, the Profits went to the ring. And the Profits, they were taped up. They had their ribs taped up and their legs taped up. Montez Ford got on the mic. He ended up saying that they have been the talk of the town for the last 2 weeks. And they put on the greatest TLC match of all time. Which, very great match that was. So, Ford ended up saying, with that said, what happened is what will always happen. And that is that the Street Profits came out on top. So let's brought out Fraxiom, Nathan Frazier, and Axiom. Montez Ford was like, you have to be kidding me. Frazier ended up telling the Profits that he apologizes for the interruption and that it feels good to be on SmackDown. So Nathan Frazier ended up telling Axiom that they are rubbing shoulders with the WWE Tag Team Champions, probably the best tag team in the game right now. So Frazier ended up telling Axiom that Shawn Michaels told them that if they see an opportunity to take it when they left NXT. So Axiom ended up telling the Profits that they are amazing, and no disrespect, but those titles will look great on them. So Dawkins ended up telling Fraxiom that they only won 2 matches, and he ended up asking them if they think that they deserve a shot at the tag team titles. Fraxiom ended up telling the Profits, yes, we deserve a title shot. And Montez Ford ended up telling them after 3 weeks, they want a title shot. So then out came Nick Aldis. Nick Aldis ended up saying that he likes what he is seeing. He ended up saying that Fraxiom are new, and they have not shown to be worthy of a title shot yet, but they are in the heartland of opportunity. So Nick Aldis ended up making the tag team match between Fraxiom and the Street Profits, and the match happened right now. So we got the match, the Street Profits versus Fraxiom. This was the best match of the night. This was awesome. This was very good. So as SmackDown came back from the commercial, the match was already underway. Fraxiom ended up double teaming up on Montez Ford in the ring. Dawkins ended up tagging in. Dawkins was shown having tape on his left elbow and his right knee. Frazier went to the ropes and he landed a drop kick to Dawkins. So Frazier ended up doing a headlock takedown onto Dawkins. He threw Dawkins into the rope. Dawkins came back and delivered a spinning back elbow to Frazier, and that led to Frazier going to the outside. Dawkins went to the outside, and he pushed Frazier into the commentary table. Dawkins got back to the ring, and Axiom went to the outside, and he ended up throwing Frazier back into the ring. Ford was then tagged in. Ford had tape around his ribs. Ford delivered a kick to Frazier's ribs. He ended up going for the cover, and Frazier kicked out. Dawkins ended up tagging back in, and the Street Profits double teamed up on Frazier. Dawkins ended up going for the cover. Frazier then kicked out. Dawkins then grabbed Frazier. Frazier came back, delivered a kick to the side of Dawkins' head. Axiom tagged in, and Frazier and Axiom double teamed up on Dawkins, who was thrown to the outside. Ford came in, and he was thrown to the outside of the ring. Fraxiom then delivered double suicide dives onto the Street Profits. And then, as SmackDown came back from the commercial, Dawkins ended up lifting Frazier up in the air, and he slammed him onto the canvas. Axiom was tagged in, as did Montez Ford, so Axiom and Ford went at it. Ford delivered a right hand, and he knocked Frazier off the ring apron. Ford delivered a clothesline, which was followed up by a back suplex to Axiom. Ford then delivered a standing moonsault onto Axiom. He went for the cover. Axiom kicked out. Ford then threw Axiom into the ropes, and Frazier tagged himself in. Frazier got into the ring, and he rolled Montez Ford up, but Montez Ford ended up kicking out. Yeah, later on, Axiom climbed to the top rope, and he landed the Spanish Fly onto Dawkins, which was great. Frazier then delivered the Phoenix Splash, and he ended up going for the cover, and Montez Ford broke up the pin. Ford was then tagged in. Dawkins delivered a spine buster onto Frazier. So at the end of the match, we had Fraxiom end up winning the match. Axiom landed a drop kick as Frazier ended up tripping Montez Ford. And Axiom ended up going for the cover. And there you go. Fraxiom ended up winning the match. Post-match, both Fraxiom and the Street Profits end up shaking hands. And they end up hugging after the match. Which I'm like, they shouldn't have done that. Because we all know that Fraxiom wants to get a shot at the tag team titles, which that's going to be next. I think we're going to get a rematch with Fraxiom and the Street Profits, but the tag team titles will be on the line. And then we had Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany Stratton was backstage, and Nia Jax ended up coming up to Stratton. Nia ended up telling Stratton not to worry about Naomi, but to worry about her. So Stratton ended up telling Nia when she beats her, she will make sure there is a spot for her on the losers table next to Charlotte Flair. And pretty much that was basically that. And then we saw The Miz was backstage with Carmelo Hayes. Miz ended up telling Hayes that he will show him where he needs to be to get the job done, because tonight is all about him. Miz ended up saying that it is about showing everyone that Hayes is the 10th monument of the world. So Miz ended up telling him that Melo don't Miz, and they are awesome. Awful. Awful, awful. And then we had Carmelo Hayes. He ended up taking on Aleister Black, which this was a very meh match here. But Aleister Black, of course, he's good in the ring. And I'm like, very underwhelming that his WWE return, he's in a feud with The Miz and Carmelo Hayes. So the match got underway. Black delivered a headlock takedown on Hayes, but Hayes ended up getting to his feet. Black was thrown to the ropes. Hayes ended up going for a springboard crossbody, but Black moved out of the way, and he sat on the canvas. Black ended up getting back up, and he grabbed Hayes, but Hayes delivered some kicks to Black. Hayes then grabbed Aleister, but Aleister ended up delivering some kicks, and Hayes ended up falling to the outside. Aleister delivered a moonsault off the second rope onto Hayes on the outside of the ring. Black then ended up going for a kick onto Hayes, but Hayes moved out of the way, and Hayes ended up hitting Black with a drop kick over the timekeeper's area. So then as SmackDown came back from the commercial, Black was in control of the match. He ended up delivering a leaping knee to Hayes' face, and both guys were down. Both guys slowly got to their feet, and they were exchanging right hands to each other. Black delivered some punches to Hayes and some kicks. Black then followed that up with a knee to the side of Hayes' head. We had Black end up lifting Hayes up. Hayes landed on his feet, and he landed a super kick to Black. Hayes then grabbed Black. Black then landed the brainbuster to Hayes. He ended up going for the cover, and Hayes ended up kicking out. So The Miz then got on the ring apron. Hayes ended up going for a right hand, to which Black ended up ducking, and Hayes knocked Miz off the apron with the right hand. Black then rolled Hayes up, and he ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Aleister Black ended up winning the match. Post-match, Miz got into the ring. Black then delivered the black mask to The Miz, laying him out. Black then left the ring. He sat down on the ramp, and that was basically that. Overall, very meh match this was. And let's move Aleister Black on from Carmelo Hayes and The Miz. Give Aleister Black some good competition, and not with Carmelo Hayes and The Miz. Like I said, I can't believe Aleister Black returns and he is in a feud with The Miz and Carmelo Hayes. It's unbelievable. And then we saw Jacob Fatu and Sikoa backstage. Sikoa ended up telling Fatu that they don't have the numbers advantage, and they need a game plan. Fatu ended up telling Sikoa that tomorrow he will dog walk Drew McIntyre, LA Knight, and Damian Priest. He ended up saying that's the only game plan he needs. And that was basically that. Then we saw Fraxiom backstage. Fraxiom got stopped by the Motor City Machine Guns, Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley. The Motor City Machine Guns end up congratulating Fraxiom on their win over the Street Profits. But DIY, Johnny Gargano, and Tommaso Ciampa end up coming in, and they end up attacking both the Motor City Machine Guns and Fraxiom. DIY end up telling Fraxiom that they took advantage of the Street Profits, who are still not fully fit after the TLC match. So DIY still wants those tag team titles. We'll see where this goes. And then we had Andrade and Rey Fenix. They have taken on Los Garza, Berto, and Angel. And this was a meh match in my opinion. Match got underway. We had Angel and Rey Fenix start off the match. Rey delivered a shoulder tackle off the second rope to Angel. He ended up going for the cover, and Angel kicked out. Angel ended up pushing Rey Fenix into the corner, and Berto was then tagged in. Los Garza ended up double teaming Rey Fenix in the corner, and Berto ended up going for the cover, to which Rey Fenix ended up kicking out. Berto ended up going for a suplex to Fenix, but Fenix landed on his feet, and Andrade was then tagged in. Andrade delivered a superplex, but Angel ended up coming in. Rey Fenix got in the ring, and both Los Garza threw Andrade and Rey Fenix outside the ring. So then, as SmackDown came back from the commercial, Andrade and Berto were in the ring. They were going at it. Andrade delivered the Poison Rana to Berto. Rey and Angel ended up tagging in, so Fenix and Angel went at it at this point. Rey ended up delivering some right hands to Angel. Rey then placed Angel on the top rope. He grabbed Berto by the arm, and he jumped onto the top rope. We had Rey end up kicking Angel on the side of the head, and he landed an arm drag on Berto. So we had Andrade end up getting into the ring. Angel knocked Andrade down, and Rey Fenix ended up knocking Angel down. Angel threw Rey into the corner and landed a splash onto him. Berto was then tagged in, and he landed a moonsault onto Fenix. So Berto ended up going for the cover. Andrade broke up the pin. We had Escobar later on. He got on the ring apron, and he distracted the ref Berto ended up rolling Ray up, and that distraction backfired because Berto ended up letting go of the pin, and Ray Fenix slammed Berto face first. So Ray Fenix ended up going for the cover, and Angel broke up the pin. Andrade then tagged in. He landed a spinning elbow to Angel's face. Angel went to the outside. Ray Fenix delivered the Adios Amigo onto Berto. Ray then went to the top rope, and he delivered a splash onto Angel. And Andrade ended up delivering the message onto Berto. He ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Andrade and Ray Fenix ended up winning the match. Post-match, Santos Escobar got into the ring, and he began yelling at Berto. He ended up putting his fingers on Berto. Berto ended up slamming Santos Escobar's hand away, and both Berto and Escobar were face-to-face. Berto then left the ring, and Angel was just looking at both Berto and Escobar. So Escobar did not like that Berto lost the match. And this could mean maybe Berto breaking away from Legado del Fantasma. Who knows? But that was a sign there, with Santos Escobar putting his fingers on Berto. But overall, very meh tag team match it was. And then as SmackDown came back from the commercial, we had the final segment of the night. John Cena. John Cena closed SmackDown tonight, and he came out. He got boos from the crowd, of course. He got into the ring, and he asked for his music to stop. He pointed to Mark Nash, of course, who was the SmackDown ring announcer. Mark Nash got into the ring, and he reintroduces John Cena. Of course, this has been happening, where John Cena ends up asking the ring announcer to get into the ring and reintroduce him. And as Mark Nash was reintroducing John Cena, we saw someone throw a bottle at Cena inside the ring. The bottle landed right near Cena. So Cena stopped the introduction. He grabbed the bottle and he looked at it. He then shook his head as Mark Nash continued his introduction. So Nash ended up giving Cena the mic, and he left the ring. Cena got on the mic, and I really liked what Cena said here. He ended up saying that tomorrow your childhood dies. I like the tone that he said it in, very heelish. So Cena ended up saying that the reason they are reduced to throwing empty bottles of beer is because they all know how important Backlash is. Cena ended up saying that they will do everything they can, just like Randy Orton. And Cena ended up saying this is why Orton is not here tonight. So Cena was like, oh, don't boo, because the fans were booing because he ended up saying that Orton wasn't here tonight. He ended up saying, oh, don't boo because Orton is smart. He ended up saying that Orton is at home with his family in St. Louis, preparing for the biggest moment of his career. Cena ended up saying that the first time he wrestled Orton was almost 25 years ago. He ended up saying since that time, him and Orton have shared the ring almost 100 appearances. He ended up saying there are 31 championships between them, and there are two names, which are Ruthless Aggression. Cena ended up saying that if you are between the ages of 12 and 55, you either choose Randy Orton or you choose him. And that is what is at stake at Backlash. Cena ended up saying that tomorrow is their final match. He ended up saying tomorrow they can only get to choose one more time. He ended up saying tomorrow their childhood dies. So Cena saying that if you're a fan between the ages of 3 and 11, your childhood dies too. He ended up saying that he will show them that life isn't fair. Winners write the history books, and that Randy Orton is a liar. Cena ended up saying that the person Orton has been lying to the most is himself. Cena ended up saying hustle, loyalty, respect. Hustle. Randy Orton only has this job because of his family. He ended up saying that he has never once been held accountable for anything. Cena ended up saying that Orton is the greatest of all time at wasting his potential. Cena ended up saying that he is the greatest of all time because he is hustle. He ended up saying loyalty. Orton thinks that working a job a lot of days in a row is loyalty. Cena was like, oh, well, that's not loyalty. That's cashing a check. He ended up saying Orton is a piece of furniture. And he is right. Cena ended up saying that Orton is a lazy boy. Of course, reference to, lazy boy, the furniture, the chair. Cena ended up saying that after 25 years of injuries, bad attitudes, and being over-celebrated and overpaid, you can't on Orton for anything. Cena ended up saying that Orton is the greatest of all time at doing the bare minimum. And Cena ended up saying that he is the greatest of all time because he is loyalty. Cena ended up saying respect, which the fans do not show him. He ended up saying that Orton wants to beg for their respect, and has to remind them that he is a third-generation superstar. And Cena ended up saying that no one knows Orton Sr., Cowboy Bob Orton. The only thing his dad is known for is banging up his mom. And the only thing Orton is known for is for riding on Cena's coattails. Cena ended up saying that Orton called himself a legend killer, but he removed names that were barely relevant in the first place. Cena ended up saying that tomorrow, Orton kills the legend of Randy Orton. Cena ended up saying that Orton will be like his 2006 drug test, a failure. Cena ended up saying that Orton is the greatest of all time at making a mockery of what a WWE superstar should be. Cena ended up saying that he is the greatest of all time because he has respect. He ended up saying tomorrow is a historic moment for WWE because he makes history again. And this is what a last real champion looks like, as Cena ended up raising up the Undisputed WWE Championship. So, someone came into the ring wearing a Randy Orton hoodie. So, this guy was going to go for an RKO, but Cena blocked it. Cena then ended up picking up this guy, and he landed an AA on this guy in a Randy Orton hoodie. So then, Randy Orton came from behind. He was behind Cena. And Orton ended up laying out Cena again with an RKO. So this led to Orton raising the Undisputed WWE Championship in the air. And that was how SmackDown went off the air. Overall, this was a very good segment to close out SmackDown here with John Cena. I like how the way that Cena, said, stuff on Orton, saying, hustle, loyalty, respect. As, that was Cena's motto. Cena always, calls himself hustle, loyalty, respect. And he stated, Randy Orton, only has this job because of his family as, hustle. And he ended up saying that Randy Orton is lazy. And I really like that Cena mentioned about Randy Orton's 2006 drug test, which Randy Orton ended up failing at. So I liked how the way that Cena brought up Orton's past there. But overall, this match, will deliver tomorrow with Cena and Orton for the Undisputed WWE Championship on the line. But looking forward to it. But overall, SmackDown tonight, just a very mediocre show it was. But anyway, that's it for the SmackDown review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoy this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and until next video, which will be my review of Backlash, which is tomorrow. So until then, see you all for the Backlash review.